Hello, thanks for joining us today. My name is Andrew Kallman, and we're going to walk through an introduction to flow and hopefully help you understand by the end what's in it for you, what's in it for your teams, what's in it for your product development, program management, process management, line management, and ultimately what's in it for your portfolio and leadership for your organization. As with all of our other books, presentations, videos, and so on, including this one, they are all covered by a Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives 4.0 international license. So feel free to use these with attribution. That means that you include the copyright that's at the bottom, plus add the following phrase, used with permission. If you guys can do that for us, it'd be greatly appreciated. And let us know if you're using Flow and how it has worked for you. Flow is something that I've been working with for a long time. The inspiration of flow is that it's based on observed human nature and recorded human wisdom and history that spans around the last 3,500 years. So the same timeless source that gave us the foundation of the Judeo-Christian worth ethic is also the same for flow. So that means that the flow frameworks, models, mindset just aren't empty theory or words, or in Greek, logos, that sit there on a page, but rather these are action-packed words, or rhema in Greek means word in action. And these words can breathe life into the unlikeliest of teams, projects, processes, programs, portfolios, products, even organizations. In fact, one time, about two decades ago, Ted and I were presenting Flow to a vendor, to one of our customers, and they happened to be from Israel. The team lead for that group was a lieutenant colonel in the special forces for the Israeli Defense Forces. He literally came up out of his chair when we shared our version of VSPT, pounded his fist on the table, and demanded to know, where did you get that? Ted and I looked at him and we said, same place you got it. And he thought for a second and he sat down. And so if the models and frameworks that we're using are at that level where you would invoke that kind of reaction out of a military leader demanding to know, hey, where'd you get that? We use that. That's exactly what we use for our elite teams for their leadership training. And then they use that with their teams. So we thought that was pretty cool. As I mentioned in the previous slide, I've been working with honing and distilling flow for the last 25 years. And the great thing about it is that it is duplicatable. And this isn't just smoke and mirrors. This is based on 25 years of gathered evidence from real-world fires of projects, programs, product development and management, portfolio governance, and even from organizational and executive leadership. Many, many others have replicated the same remarkable results that Flow delivers using Flow themselves. So, if I'm getting a little bit excited about those results, then I would think that that would be a good thing. About 30 years ago, well, actually almost 40 years ago, I was taught that in the word enthusiasm, the last 4 letters are an acronym for I am sold myself. Who would you rather work with? A trainer, coach, and mentor that might say, yeah, it might work, experiment with it. If it works, let me know. Or would you want somebody that had the confidence to look you straight in the eye and say, this works? That's the level of confidence we want to transfer to you. And as you experience the same awesome results that we've seen over and over again, just like me, you want to share those great results. Especially, it's really neat to watch teams pick this up, pick up the torch, and run with it. So I guess my point is who would you rather work with? Wouldn't you really want to work with a trainer, coach, and mentor that is actually sold? Or would you want to work with somebody who isn't really sold? Okay. And so because of that, it can be, or it might feel like, that a lot of our materials are very sales and marketing oriented, but it's actually, we want to transfer the confidence that we have in what we do to you. As I mentioned on the previous slide, a lot of times it sounds like, or it could sound like, that our materials are very sales and marketing oriented, where we're trying to sell you something. And in reality, what we're trying to do is transfer the confidence to you. And so I have to admit that, when I've worked with something for so long that works as well as this does, you're just going to have to forgive me if the flow training, coaching, and mentoring materials end up feeling like sales and marketing pitch. But I guess I would challenge that view and say, well, hold on just a second. Did you know and are you aware that all, and I mean all, of our materials are available either in book, video, or PowerPoint format out there on the net? All of it. And it's all covered by, as I mentioned in one of the previous slides, it's all covered by a Creative Commons no derivative license. So if everything's out there available free, what is it exactly then that you feel like I'm trying to sell you? So please forgive me if it sounds like sales and marketing. I'm a victim of my upbringing. I have an MBA in marketing. The reality is I want you, when you're done with going through all the courses and using flow in your daily work, to be as confident as me and all of the other flow certified professionals, flow certified coaches, and flow certified trainers that are out there using flow every day. So basically, I want you to be equally inspired and enthusiastic. And if you're not equally interested in being inspired or becoming more enthusiastic in the results that you deliver in your work every day, then the wisdom shared in all the flow materials might not be for you. Okay, I get that. That's okay. And I also understand that this might be a cultural difference too, because flow itself does cut across culture. Okay, the models, the frameworks, the mindset, the tools, everything, it all cuts across culture because we've used flow successfully in North America, in Europe, in North Africa, the Middle East, Russia, Asia. It works. It works in multiple cultures and various business cultures too. So you'll have to forgive me. The American half of me comes out every now and then. And every now and then the Finnish or the Finn-Swedish half of me comes out as well. And so just keep these things in mind as you're going through flow that this isn't just something that we've pulled out of our sleeves. It's not just sales and marketing material, although a lot of it can feel that way. But ultimately, our goal is to transfer the confidence we have in flow to you. The origin of flow spans almost 5 decades, but flow itself, where it was first distilled into a framework and models that could be duplicated and reused, that really began in 1995 to 1997 with a project on which Ted, my brother Dan, and myself, and a whole bunch of other people were working on delivering that project, and the results of that project that were audited by the customer's internal auditing team from finance. So completely other team outside of our team came in and said, yeah, the results of this project first year after launch were $29.6 million net. I mean, that's like as if we had increased their sales by hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay? So that's when we sat back, did a retrospective, and said, oh my goodness, we've got something that flat out works. Okay? Now, a little bit more history lesson here. The original spark for flow was something that Ted called the model that he learned at college way back in 1972. And from that, he got the one language, one mind, one plan framework or model. And he called it simply the model. Okay? And that was from 72. About 10 years later, in 83, or somewhere between 80 and 83, I picked up the first 3 R's of the 4R model when I was studying at the university. And I added the 4th model, or the 4th R, to the 4R model in the mid-90s. Okay. Also, the other day I was sorting through some drawers and looking at papers, and I ran across a handwritten copy of the 4D model from 1999, 21 years ago. And by the way, the 4R model, the right truth, right values, attitudes, right actions, right results, is actually the predecessor to the 4D model. The 4R model is what we would use to work with the individual, or it's what I still use to work with individuals, while the 4D model is what I would use to work with teams. It's define, distill, deliver, and drive. So those 2 models are mirror images of themselves, stated in slightly different ways, one to be used with individuals and one to be used with teams. Now the VSPT model that I mentioned earlier, that was the original version, was actually from the early 90s. It was used by Newt Gingrich to power his Republican Revolution. After Bill Clinton got elected in 92, Newt Gingrich took over the House and the Senate in the Congress, both houses. He took them over using VSPT, which came from, at that point in time, West Point Military Academy. And it was vision, strategy, projects, and tactics in that form. As we applied that to the Steelcase project in 95, which is in our book, it's one of the case studies in Flow. As we applied VSPT to that, my observation was, as well, the P and T don't actually match to what we're doing here. In reality, when you're working with projects, the key thing in every project is having the right people. And so I switched the VSPT to vision, strategy, people, and tasks. What is it that the people are doing? Because if you have the right people doing the right things at the right time, hopefully in the right way, you should get the right results, right? Okay, so that was a change that I made in the mid-90s after working with the Steelcase project. So we distilled it into its current form back then, and it's been that way ever since. Now, we started using flow around the name flow around 2013, 2014. It was really an acronym that I came up with that stood for Focus-Led Organization. And it just sort of FLO, just sort of in caps, looked sort of funny. So over time, it morphed into just the word flow. And then the title of our book, Get Everyone Moving in the Right Direction and Loving It, also came out a few years later when we published Flow. But the first group of Flow certified professionals trained in Stockholm, Sweden was done back in the spring of 2014. By the way, Flow has been known by a number of names, and a few of those include the Unified Vision Framework, the VSBT model, and the Simply WAL model. So it's had a few names down through the last couple of decades, but for more than the last 5 years, it's been known as Flow. In my book Flow, in Chapter 1, I defined flow as the state of optimal performance achieved by applying a clear, consistent, persistent, and unified vision at all levels of an organization. And on the next slide, you're going to see that we simplified that. And as with all visions and definitions, this is continually evolving and transforming into a more concise and better definition as we move along. By chapter 9 in my book, I shortened the definition to the optimal state of high performance. And so what happens is flow enables you to achieve and sustain higher levels of performance individually, as a team, and as an organization. And so if you look at the green text that I have here in the bullet point, achieve and sustain higher levels of performance, that's basically the vision for Flow to help you do that. Our mission is teaching you the what and the how and helping you duplicate the results. And our purpose and higher purpose is that we pursue excellence and we like to help others do the same. And so that's basically the goal of Flow. If you've watched some of the other presentations that I've done and recorded and shared on YouTube, you'll notice that this is a new slide. I expanded the definition to include that Flow includes the mindset and tool set that you need in order to take whatever you're doing and make it even better. So it includes leadership models and leadership frameworks in Flow. And we're going to look at a couple of those today in this presentation. Now, something that I really want to hammer home is Flow is methodology agnostic. It's easy to integrate into whatever other methodologies, frameworks you may already be using, like Agile, Scrum, Change Management, Traditional, Waterfall, Agile PMOs, SAFe, which is Scaled Agile Framework, or Agile Portfolio Management, or whatever you're doing. Whatever leadership style you have, or the strategies that you use as a leader in order to lead and motivate your teams, understand that Flow helps all of these different things play nice together, as one of the early participants in the Flow training mentioned about 4 or 5 years ago. And so just keep in mind, Flow is methodology agnostic, but it will help whatever you're doing achieve higher and better results. As I mentioned, flow includes a number of frameworks and models in it, and this picture captures almost all of them. And these are the 17 pieces, or tiles as I call them, that you need to address when you are looking at implementing flow in whatever you're doing. And so we're going to look at the flow formula and the flow friction analysis. Those are two of the key tools that we use in order to mitigate all of the noise and confusion that can happen either at the individual team, product program, process line management level, or even at the portfolio and leadership levels. Flow helps you distill exactly what it is that you need to deliver and helps you get it done even more quickly than you ever thought possible. The flow formula is deceptively simple. Just remember, simple is not easy. It's based on vision plus the right people plus the 4D model, which is define, distill, deliver, and drive. It's an iterative model a leadership model that we use in flow that we overlay on anything that we're doing in order to get the highest level of performance out of individuals and teams. When you get these three parts correct and everyone is entering into individual and team level states of flow, then you have a really good chance to succeed. This is a very simple formula, but it's been distilled and honed over the last 25 years. Now, right people also includes the 4R model, which includes right truth, right values and attitudes, right actions, and right results. And so when we are talking about right people or say right people, we are inferring immediately the 4R model as well. The flow friction analysis builds on the flow formula. And so basically, it's built on if you have the right vision, plus the right people, plus the right definitions, you've distilled agreement, the team is delivering, and you're driving through retrospectives and continuously filtering everything you do against the vision, then you can achieve flow. However, if you don't have the right vision or the vision's lacking, you probably have anarchy. So if you walk into a team or a situation and you feel that there's anarchy there, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be because there is no vision or compelling vision that the team can align with so that they can actually get their work done. If you don't have the right people on your teams, you're probably going to end up with anxiety. Either the person themselves knows that they're not the right person, or they realize that some of the other people on the team are not the right people. And if you have a team put together and they're trying to deliver something and they realize that they're missing 1 or 2 people, or they have the wrong people on the team, then that will create anxiety. So if you have a team that's anxious, you're going to be looking at, you probably don't have the right people in the right places. Now, this works at all levels in the organization, from the team level to the product program level to the portfolio executive level. It's the same for all those teams. If you do not have the right definitions, here with D1 as we call it for definitions, you're probably going to end up with confusion, because if you have definitions and the people don't know or don't agree on those definitions, people are going to be confused, and it's really going to slow down or even stop what you're trying to create or deliver. Now, this one is perhaps the most powerful part of the flow friction analysis, because I haven't seen an organization yet that doesn't have politics. And so you can mitigate politics by distilling agreement, and that's just not at the team level, that's with all the stakeholders involved. If you've distilled agreement, it creates a situation where it's very difficult for politics to rear its ugly head and slow down or stop what it is that you're trying to achieve. Now, if you have a team that's unable to deliver, you will have chaos. I saw one organization where their solution to that was to lock 40 people in a big room over a weekend from Friday to Sunday night or Monday morning early, and it would just be chaotic. They'd be shouting at each other. They would work to try to deliver something in those 2.5 days, and then they would release it at the end and then spend the next 3 months cleaning up all the bugs that chaos created. Now, if you don't have the ability to drive the team and their work in a good way so that they're able to, at each checkpoint or retrospective, go back and through the filter of vision, look at, okay, is this incremental step for the product or service or result that we're trying to create, is this incremental step getting us one closer to the vision? If it's not, then you could end up in a situation where you have division. Division in English literally means two separate visions. If you end up with multiple visions, then everybody's going to do what's right in their own eyes, but that's not necessarily going to get you any closer to delivering the increment for that product, service, or result that you originally envisioned. And so this is the flow friction analysis, and using this with your teams, if you're working with teams or with people and you detect any of these, you can go back down through this and look at, okay, well, this is part of the flow friction analysis, and you can start to help guide your team members, your coworkers, and say, hey, look, it sounds like you got some confusion there. Maybe we should go back and look at the definitions. Or if politics has reared its ugly heads, then you're going to have to do a whole bunch of campaign political stakeholder management in order to distill agreement to get everybody in alignment again. If you don't do that, you risk going down in flames, and nobody wants that. So this tool is there to help you achieve higher and higher levels of performance for yourself, your teams, and all parts of the organization. For the most of the balance of this presentation, we're going to be looking at flow through these 4 lenses. It's a 4-box. I love 4 boxes. It's part of my management consulting background. It's easy to use, it's easy to communicate, and helps you quickly sort what it is that you're trying to solve from a team or product or organizational perspective, or even an individual perspective. This is adapted from a presentation that I saw at the Scrum Gathering Las Vegas many, many years ago that was done by Lisa Atkins and Michael Spade. They used to use a box that was I, we, it, its. I don't remember the original author of that. I think it was Ken Weber. I don't agree with his beginning points and how he uses those, but this has gradually morphed over into a very useful pattern and model to help people understand what it is that we're talking about in flow and to help them think in multiple dimensions at the same time. The purpose of these four lenses is to help you enter into and maintain a high state of high performance as an individual, as a team. Product, by the way, if I haven't already mentioned it, includes program management, process management, and line management, as well as the product marketing and product development management, or the product development lifecycle, whichever way you want to identify that. And then organization includes everything from portfolio management and portfolio governance all the way up to the executive C-suite leadership. And flow is basically begins in that box and goes from that perspective out into the other three boxes. And so that's something that makes flow unique. And because so many organizations use so many different frameworks and methodologies, we've made sure that flow is methodology agnostic so that any organization will benefit from using and applying the mindset and tool set that we teach in flow. In flow, we've leveraged the work of Paul DeModica, who wrote the book Value Forward Selling. I highly recommend that book to anybody who wants to be a better leader, period. There's quite a few things in that book that are really good, including learning to speak the vocabulary that executives speak. So even if you never become an executive, you'll become a much more effective and better manager and leader in the role that you're in if you learn to communicate with your executive teams better and better. And Paul's observation, and he was the one that came up with the concept of sales value proposition in the late 90s. That was him, or early 2000s, whenever that one came out. Anyways, he made the observation that there were typically, in his book, 3 reasons that a customer or an executive would do a project or assignment, and that was basically the only reasons they were going to do it is to increase revenue, decrease or get rid of costs, and either get rid of or mitigate risk. Those were the 3. And over time, we've added a 4th one, is do the right thing. Now on this list, it could probably be moved to the top, but we still include it on the list because typically if you're doing those 3 things above, all of those should fall into the category of doing the right thing. Should. Doesn't mean they always do, but they should. And so these are the 4 primary reasons an organization either buys or builds a product and or does a project. Now, in this box, through this lens, I mentioned it on the other slide, product also includes programs, processes, and line management, which is part of process management. And so the 4 whys, when we talk, you'll hear about 5 whys in Agile of how to do root cause analysis, but this 4 why is why a company will either invest in, buy, or build a product or do a project or assignment. These next 10 or 11 slides are the heart and soul of flow. Why would you use it? And hopefully I'm going to be helping you understand what's in it for me individually, what's in it for my team, what's in it for my product, program, process, or organization that I lead, and then lastly, what's in it for my portfolios and the executives that would be involved. Flow is designed to help you be more consistent. It's duplicatable. It helps you create a sustainable pace while you're pursuing personal excellence and transformation. In other words, what we're trying to do is increase the value of your personal brand and the wow that you're delivering to your organization. Individual flow helps you enter into a sustainable state of flow and deliver the consistent, remarkable results that derive from vision, mission, purpose, and everything that we teach. Now, you need to take the mindset models and frameworks out of our books, training videos, real-world exercises, and apply them in real life. It doesn't do any good for you to read it and go, yeah, that's good, and then not actually use it. So hopefully we're giving you tools as an individual that you can use immediately, that you can walk out and use tomorrow, and increase your effectiveness, your value, the value of your brand, and just help you overall be better and better and better at what you do. As I mentioned with Paul DeMonico's book on learning how to communicate more effectively and better with your organization's leadership, every executive needs this, okay? So if you, as an individual, are learning to do that, you will capture your executive's attention, hopefully in a good way, okay? Because in reality, almost 90% of everything we do in business boils down to communication. Back 10, 15 years ago, when I was actively teaching project management and project managers, helping prepare them to pass the project management professional, we used to teach that project management is 80% communications. Well, actually it's more than that. It's probably 90%, and it doesn't matter if you use traditional methodologies or something in between, or agile methodologies and Scrum. It's all communication. And so we will give you the tools that help you communicate better and better with your organization and your organization's leadership. And you'll be able to duplicate these remarkable results. It's basically success breeds success. As you get better and better at applying these tools, you're going to go, oh, wow, this works. And it's going to energize you and breathe life into you, what you're doing and what you're delivering to the organization. That alone should be enough to say, okay, I need this. But what's in it for you is you're going to become better as a leader by learning the principles, the mindset, and the tool set that we deliver in Flow. What's in it for your teams? Well, again, you're going to be able to deliver consistently. You're going to be able to duplicate the success that you've been doing individually. Now you can start to help your team members via training, coaching, and mentoring them how to do the same, how to do it in a sustainable way. You will help the team pursue team excellence and transformation of that team if that's necessary in order to get them to higher and higher levels of sustainable performance. And that will increase the value of your team's brand within the organization and the wow that the team is delivering. So your teams will be able to consistently and repeatedly deliver remarkable results that derive from unity entering into a sustainable state of flow by focusing on the most important things like vision, mission, and team goals for the next iteration of the incremental product, service, or result that delivers real business value. Okay? And so you'll be taking your team to higher and higher levels of performance. In addition to the higher levels of performance that your team will be delivering, we've noticed that flow does some really interesting things. It creates an amazing level of team spirit and team member loyalty. One executive got so excited he sent his people in to find out, how did you do that? Because in a retrospective that we had with that executive, one of the team members said, this team is more important to me than my own department. This team and the team members on it have become my friends, so that when we pass each other in the hall, it's just not like, hey, how's it going? We actually talk, we find out how everybody's doing, and this guy just went on and just oozed this level of team loyalty and team spirit that blew that executive away. He couldn't believe it. He afterwards he said, that's what I want for every team. And every executive wants this for their team. And so this is what flow delivers. And I've seen people who understand the principles of flow, who are able to breathe life into teams and duplicate this level of loyalty over and over and over again. When you are able to do that, executives are going to look at you and just go, how did you do that? And I want that everywhere, okay? Because it's duplicatable, and those are remarkable results. And as you have that success, it's going to breed success with each and every team that you're breathing life into. It just energizes them in a way that's truly amazing. I've seen this over and over again, and I've trained, coached, and mentored other coaches and consultants to be able to do the exact same thing. And so they're able to duplicate this. It's not rocket science, and it appears really, really easy, but it's not. It's not easy to do, because if everybody could do it, they would, but they don't, because they don't understand the mindset, they don't understand the tool set, and they don't really grasp what it is that we're doing in flow that creates these remarkable results. This graph or this diagram applies not just to the team level. This applies to the individual level. It applies to the product box, including program, process, and line management, and it definitely applies to the organizational box from portfolio level all the way up to the C-suite. I've done this over and over and over again, where it doesn't matter what the methodology is that you're using. Flow is agnostic when it comes to the methods that are already being used in an organization. And so when you look at traditional methods right now succeed anywhere from 14 to 16% of the time, and that's study after study after study, whether you quote Standish or the Standish Chaos study, that is Dr. Sutherland, or even PMI in Sweden has been doing the state of project management survey now for multiple years, and they've barely moved from originally around the 14% level. I think 2018, 2017 2018, they were pretty much plateauing out at 16%. And that's without flow. Now, we have observed over and over and over again that when you use flow with traditional projects, you get agile results, or sometimes even better than agile results if you're using flow with traditional. Okay. Now, in some of the other videos and interviews that we have, when you take flow and apply it to agile methods, it's like putting a match to gasoline. Okay, agile methods succeed around 42% of the time. That was Dr. Sutherland that presented that many years ago. I'm not sure that those numbers have increased at all, but we've had individual after individual. We have a flow certified coach who is working towards being a flow certified trainer. His organization was already doing agile. Okay, this is a teams that had been doing agile, and when we trained them 5 years ago, they went and took flow, and in the first 90 days they increased productivity by 300%. Okay, that's amazing. That's remarkable. That's what flow is all about. It's going to turbocharge what you're doing, and it consistently delivers remarkable results. Does it succeed every time? No, we actually have 2 case studies in our book out of those 14 case studies in flow that are where it didn't work because politics wiped it out. Okay, so you have to be aware even flow doesn't work 100% of the time, and that's why I don't put the arrow all the way to 100%, but it's heading the right direction. And so I think that it's really important for people to understand that if you look on the left side of these trend lines, if you're not using flow, you're going to get a certain level of success. But if you're applying flow, flow is a leadership framework that sits on top of whatever you're doing and turbocharges it. If you use flow, we are absolutely certain that you're going to be way over half the time succeeding more than you ever did before. So these are achieved over time, and we achieve this not just through training, but through coaching and mentoring. Okay, it's really important to understand. It's great to understand the theory in the book and to take the training, but the coaching and mentoring over time with a seasoned, battle-scarred veteran who understands the principles of flow, that's where you're going to get the biggest return for your investment. And so the success rate will go up if you're using flow with whatever you're doing. And just remember, flow is methodology agnostic, and it helps all these other methods play nice together. So we've talked about what's in it for me individually. We've talked about what's in it for my team or teams. Now we're going to talk about what's in it for my product development, my program management, my process management, and my line management. And again, you're going to see that it's the consistency, the fact that you can duplicate it, that you create sustainable levels of flow. And here we're pursuing product excellence and or transformation or even innovation. And the whole goal is to increase the value of your organization's brand and the wow that your organization is delivering to your end users and customers. Because if we're not delighting our customers, if we're not delivering a wow, we won't be in business very long. And with everything that's happened here in the first quarter of 2020, with COVID-19, coronavirus, you need to be aware that coming out on the other side, if you're working in any of these 4 boxes, your ability to deliver and add tremendous value to the organization is going to help you potentially secure or remain in your current role. So this one's going to be really hard to predict, but I believe that flow is more relevant today than it's ever been. In product flow, flow balances innovation and operational excellence. We have a whole bunch of pictures that teach this one as well. So it's used for your product development and product lifecycle management, program management, process management, and line management, as I mentioned before. It helps you create duplicatable, remarkable results as well as alignment in the organization. So it helps you align your team with the product, service, or result and the why of that product. What is it that you're trying to deliver? And so what's in it for the team includes what we had on the last slide and this slide. And that's really powerful, especially when you take something like the 4D model that I mentioned earlier, and you look at your definitions, your distillation, your delivery, and your drive. That's really almost a marketing perspective and an iterative process that we can use in marketing for any product development that we're trying to achieve a product, service, or result that is going to leave our customer going, wow, and that they're delighted. And I believe every executive wants that as well. Last but not least is organizational flow. Every executive wants to have consistency. They want their successes to be duplicatable and sustainable. Doesn't help if everybody burns themselves out. Every executive wants their organization to pursue excellence. And when they're doing that, that increases the chance for any kind of transformation that you might be going through, whether it's a waterfall to agile transformation or digitalization, which is the buzzword right now, or if you're looking at, hey, how do we do DevOps or whatever. Flow helps you in that area be successful with those kinds of transformation. And so flow will help you increase the value of your organization and the wow delivered. And when you do that, that goes directly to the value of your shares. Organizational flow enables true prioritization. Okay, at the agile portfolio management level, you can run into situations, I can give you an example, where an organization had 260 projects over that in their product backlog. Their project completion velocity was 58 projects a year. Okay, so you do the math. That's almost 4.5 years worth of work. By consistently and persistently applying the principles of flow to the waterfall to agile transformation that the organization was going through, they were able to deliver all 260 projects plus 30 additional ones. It was like, I think, 292 projects delivered in 3 years. So they delivered the entire list plus 10% more with about 10% less people as people through attrition left and went to other jobs. They were able to deliver the entire backlog of projects almost a year and a half earlier. Just in budget savings, that was up in the mid $20 million range. Okay? That helps them tremendously. And what's even more important is when the executives only had in the beginning a throughput of 60 projects and they had 260 plus projects, they barely had a 1 in 4 chance of doing the right project because they weren't doing any prioritization. They were just, whoever yelled the loudest, that was the project of the week. So over time, by forcing and helping the executives prioritize and do their top 25 for the next 15 months, that was the first exercise we did with them. By doing that, we increased the odds of them doing the right projects significantly because they were no longer shooting in the dark. They were going through the discipline of prioritizing, okay, which one of these projects is actually most important. If I've got 60, 70 projects in my portfolio, or even 80, whatever it was per portfolio, it's probably closer to 65 per portfolio. And they have to cut it down to 25. That meant that they had to look at 40 of the projects and put them on the back burner. And then lock the scope and say, okay, these are the 100 projects we're doing for the next 15 months. Go forth and conquer. And amazingly, just doing that helped the organization breathe a sigh of relief because they said, finally, somebody, an adult has entered into the room and helped everyone say, okay, we're adults. We need to prioritize. You don't get everything that you want. We have limited resources. What are the highest value items and projects that we can deliver that is going to be best for the organization? And so we were able to deliver the most value and thus the right items first. We assisted the organization in doing the right thing, and we gave the highest return to all the stakeholders, especially not only by delivering the entire backlog, but doing it where we delivered it a year and a half early. that was a direct cost savings of over $20 million. Okay, that is measurable. That is real world results. And the great thing is you can go do the same thing. Tomorrow, starting tomorrow, you need to start measuring the results that each and every assignment, project, product that you're working with, you need to start measuring. What are the results that we're achieving? And when you change just that one little part of your mindset, that, oh, I'm going to measure my results, I want to measure my success, that is worth a ton. And every executive wants every one of their employees to do that. Okay? Not only are these duplicatable and remarkable results that you're delivering, but the alignment is remarkable. You align the other 3 boxes from the organizational box. You can align to vision, mission, purpose, strategies, values, attitudes, as well as the goals and objectives. And in the end, you're not going to satisfy and make everybody happy, but you're going to increase the pool of satisfied employees who, on the happiness indexes and the things that we have out there that we measure that with. And you're going to decrease the number of people who are extremely unhappy to the point where they're actively working against the goals of your organization. So every executive wants all 4 boxes that I've just described. This describes what's in it for an organization. For them to achieve organizational flow, we've talked about what's in it for the product teams, programs, process, and line managers, how to help them achieve flow. We've talked about the teams, what's in it for them for them to be able to achieve flow. And we've talked about how each individual can also enter into and sustain higher levels of flow. Going back to the flow friction analysis and looking at it from a holistic organizational view, since organizations are made up of individuals and teams in every one of these boxes, the flow friction analysis, if you go out tomorrow and start applying that in your daily work, you will start to find ways to say, hey, do I see anarchy? Well, that probably means we have an issue with vision. Do I see anxiety in any of my team members or teams? Well, then we might need to be looking at, do we have the right people on that assignment? Do I see confusion out there in the organization? Of course, none of you would be experiencing that. But if I'm seeing confusion out in the organization, that probably means that I don't have the right definitions. From an organizational perspective, politics is always there. It's a blood sport. And I believe this is one of the reasons why Agile coaches just get wiped out over on the two right-hand boxes, because those are all organizational issues. The Agile coaches will do great with the product development, but when you get into program management, process management, and line management, they're going to butt heads with those three without question, and it's going to be very frustrating for them to try to deal with those other groups that are included in that box. Not to mention, when they get to the portfolio and executive level, having to deal with executives who speak another language, the language of leadership, while most Agile coaches have been taught the language of management and the team of here's how we facilitate and help the teams to succeed. It's two different things, okay? So if you're out there and you've got a lot of confusion, then your definitions have spun off the table. If you got the politics that we just described, you better be prepared to be able to do politics if you're going to use flow successfully. I had the advantage of having a dad that was an elected official for over 30 years of his career, 32, 33 years. And he taught my brother Ted, my other brothers, and myself how to do campaign management, how to network, how to build critical mass, and how to win campaign managements or win campaigns and get elected. And so when you apply those principles the way we've applied it in flow, we're giving you a new mindset on how to do politics, how to play the game, enjoy the game, and win. Okay? Now, executives, they love politics. So that's one of the tools that they use. If you look at great leaders, divide and conquer is a standard. Alexander the Great used that. Well, when you have division like that and you have politics, that's a way to maintain control in the organization. When you're distilling agreement, you're actually pulling a tool that helps the executive achieve their ends without them having to use politics as a tool. If you have chaos and your teams are struggling to deliver, then you're going to need to look at their ability to deliver. And then finally, if you're looking at the last one here with drive. Drive is right up the alley again of executives, and you're trying to drive the project to completion, to success, and you do that through iterative retrospectives or checkpoints. All the methodologies employ the same idea. And so if you're struggling in that area and at the checkpoints you're realizing that you're not aligned to vision, mission, and to the goals, then that's a pretty good indication that you're having trouble with the drive part of the formula. And this formula works in all 4 boxes, and that's why it's such a powerful tool for the executive. It gives them a new tool and a new way to use all of these things, both to mitigate the negative results and to leverage the positive results that you will get from using the flow friction analysis. During my career, it was especially early on, this is mid 80s, it was really hammered into my head, this idea of the pursuit of excellence, that you want to, as an individual, pursue excellence as an individual, that whatever you do, do it with passion, do it with excellence, and if you consistently do that, and you do that over and over again, you will reap the rewards of doing that. These days, we talk about autonomy, mastery, and purpose as 3 of the main drivers for individuals. But at the individual level, and I love this picture, especially for the pursuit of excellence, it's like, yeah, that's probably what my mom thinks about me, It's like the halo on top and, choirs of angels behind going, oh. Well, anyways, on the pursuit of excellence for teams, if you're the team facilitator, whether that's a Scrum Master or an Agile project manager or everything in between, you probably look like the guy in the picture right there, where you're the plate spinner at the circus, and you're trying to keep all the plates spinning without dropping any of them, because if you drop any of the plates, it cracks on the floor, and your project or assignment or your product development probably won't succeed. As you keep moving over into the organizational side of these other 2 boxes at the product level, or program or process or line management levels, your executives above you who are leading you, they are probably expecting and or even demanding that you're able to part the organizational waters for your team and help them on their journey into the promised land. And so when we're talking these days about that, we'll talk about agile coaching, and recently we just added a new certification for Flow. That's the Flow Certified Coach. So if you're a Flow certified professional, you're going to be an awesome Agile team facilitator. If you've become a Flow certified coach, I can guarantee you'll become a really, really good Agile coach on top of everything else. Now, if you want to attain superhero status, wear a cape and red tights, we have the above the Flow Certified Coach, we have the Flow Certified Trainer. And that's where you're able to train, coach, and mentor others to do exactly what we've been doing, and to do it in all 4 boxes. Now, when you look at Agile, they primarily focus on team and product boxes and on the individual boxes. When you look at the scaling, they start to get into the enterprise level, but it's more just communication links to those levels. But if you want to have a complete package and deliver holistically, this is what Flow is all about, so that you'll be the best that you can be as an individual. You'll be able to spin all those plates, part the water, and fly through the air of the organization as an agilist or as a flow practitioner of the highest level. Going back to the executives that were all excited about how we created team loyalty and wanted to know, how did you do that? The first thing I checked is had they read the books? And it was pretty funny because they were like, oh yeah, I read that 12 months ago. And it was like, well, okay, great. And for those of you who are still sitting there and going, yeah, whatever, this is just great marketing, sorry, the results are there. If you want more evidence, go read Nehemiah Effect, go read Flow. These go more into depth and will help your understanding of our training, coaching, and mentoring that we do with Flow. In the book Flow, there are 14 case studies. It's like half the book are case studies across multiple industries and outlines the remarkable results in WOW that were delivered using this duplicatable way of thinking and working. We've done this over and over and over again, and it's not just Ted and Andrew that were able to duplicate this. We've trained hundreds and hundreds of people on how you do this, and they have been able to duplicate the same remarkable results to the point where their organization views those individuals as indispensable. So what's in it for you? There's a ton of things in it for you for Flow. By the way, all these videos are for free on the internet. I am giving you the what. Now, the how, you're going to need to go through the training and the different levels of certification to really understand how we do the how. And in fact, we even give part of the how you do this. But it takes battle-scarred veterans that can guide you along the way and help you hopefully avoid some of the landmines and pitfalls that you could encounter along the way. We've done that over and over and over again for organizations all over the globe. Thank you for taking the time today to go through this introduction of Flow. This is a tougher introduction to do for me in one way because it's hard to introduce you to the concepts without sharing the successes with you. When I'm sharing the successes with you, that can come off as a sales pitch. So you'll have to forgive me if I get excited about Flow because I've seen it work so many times in so many ways in so many organizations in North America, in Europe, in the Middle East, in North Africa, in Asia, that when I see that kind of success that cuts across business culture and national culture, that's exciting. And so it may sound like I'm trying to sell you something, but like I pointed out, all of these materials, except for the books, all of these videos are available to you for free. So I'm more than happy to give you the what, but if you want to learn the how, then I would be really honored and grateful to be able to walk you through the how, and to do that via our training programs. You can even take our initial training, the Flow Certified Professional, and you can take the entire training, go through that experience. Right now it's a bare bones minimum viable product with basically you've got your 2 books, you've got the videos and quizzes throughout, so that when you make it through all the videos and make it through and pass all the quizzes, you are then able to decide if you want to certify yourself as a Flow Certified Professional. And there's a very small fee that's associated with doing that. And then for the following degrees, we have a slightly different format and slightly higher fees. But in the end, you can go all the way to Flow Certified Trainer, and the fees are not going to break the bank. And again, I'm not trying to sell you something because, frankly, I know all this stuff works. So just wanted to say once again, thank you on behalf of everyone who's involved in Flow. And I look forward to either seeing you online in the Flow Certified Professional training or in the Flow Certified Coach certification course training that we have, or even the Flow Certified trainer level that we do. We'll talk to you again soon. Have a great one, and thanks again.